Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Let's talk about why men are no longer pursuing women. And I truly believe that men aren't pursuing women because of a multitude of reasons that I'm going to explain here in this video. So number one is women have way higher standards now than they used to, right? And you can argue it's because of social media, or you could just, say that there's just more options available, right? There's more human beings, right? And women have more access to more men, right, than they did just maybe a little over 30 years ago, right? So you got to realize that that's one of the core reasons why men just understand, like, why am I going to pursue a woman who is, average, maybe she's a 7 or 8, but she has like access to millions of guys if she pleases, right? So and I think wherever you go, right, whether you see women in school, you deal with them in public, or you cold approach, or you're dealing with them at work, or you're exposed to them at parties, wherever you go, I think as a guy, you see it is extremely difficult to not get the attention from a girl, because you can easily get attention from a girl if you just go up to her and start a conversation. But they're very standoffish, meaning you'll go up to a girl and she has of course she's going to be sketched out a little bit if you approach her, because it's I don't know you, who are you, hey, you just randomly came up to me. But at the end of the day, I just feel like a lot of them are careless when it comes to, they just don't care. You can be a guy and you can approach her and she'll be like, oh, whatever, hey, this is just a guy, he's approaching me. They'll be like, oh, I have a boyfriend, or I'm not really interested. And you got to think about it too. I think guys understand and have internalized, over the past decade, that why am I gonna go up to a woman or approach a woman if she's been approached by hundreds of other dudes, right? And it's the skill you have to develop to be good at game is so, it's not difficult. It's a skill you can develop. You just have to do it. You have to just approach girls, right? But at the end of the day, it's guys are looking at it if I have to go and spend countless hours a week approaching new girls at different malls, different clubs, different venues, different parks, different libraries, different university campuses, it's gonna be time consuming. So it's guys really look at it this is a lot of time I'm gonna have to dedicate to acquiring a skill. And you got to think about it too. I'm not completely closed off to cold approaching, as a way to meet girls. I don't think it's the worst thing. And I'm not saying hey, because I've cold approached girls. I'm not saying hey, I'm against cold approaching. But to get really proficient and really good at it, it's bro, I gotta approach thousands and thousands of girls, right? Or at least hundreds, right? To really get good. And it's a lot of guys are that doesn't yield a net ROI. I don't get, unless you start a YouTube channel and teach guys how to pick up girls, bro, that doesn't make me any money, right? That doesn't help my life. That doesn't improve my physique. That doesn't do anything, right? Yeah, I get good at game, right? And eventually hey, I sleep with a couple girls here and there, but the amount of time that I have to put in to get that result, it's I'd rather just, guys are looking at it hey, I'd rather just focus on other things, money, obviously, a business, a career, their health, their fitness, right? Things like this, their education. Guys would rather just do that, because it's at least that betters their life, and in the long run improves their chances of retaining a woman when they do meet one. Because you got to think about it, right? No matter how good you get at game, right, no matter how good your social skills are, no matter how charming you are, no matter how funny you are, if you don't have like financial prerequisites, like if you don't have like a good income, right, or you don't have some wealth built up, bro, like, yeah, okay, guess what, hey, I can sleep with this girl, but at the end of the day, like, is she gonna come back if I'm not like really on point with my finances and I'm not like a really like well put together guy? Probably not, right? Like, I look at it like, hey, like, you know, if you're a guy making $50,000 a year, right, and I'm just throwing like numbers out there, right, that's pretty average. A lot of men make $50,000 a year. So let's say, hey, I make $50,000 a year, right? Just talking about the average guy, and I'm in decent shape. Let's say I'm in my mid-20s or late 20s, and I go out and I approach a bunch of girls, bro, like, my success rate is probably not going to be as good as a guy who's, you know, in his like early 30s, mid 30s, or even like late 30s, who has his wealth built up, who has his physique built up, who has his network built up, who has intelligence, education, right? Who has all those things that women are looking for when they talk about what they want in a man. So I just think a lot of guys, like, I mean, I'm just throwing numbers out there. I don't have stats. I don't have like accurate like charts and everything, but I would argue that men between ages 18 and like 28, 29, like, yo, like, we look at it like, yo, why am I gonna go out there, get my ass kicked, right, fight an uphill battle, right, and have a really not so great closing rate with women if I can just take that 10 years to dedicate to myself? And obviously, like, hey, I'm not saying like you don't go out or like you don't speak to girls when you see them, or if you like have interest in one, or you want to talk to a girl at work or school, like, you don't, I'm not saying like, hey, like, you just completely avoid it, or if a girl like is interested in you, you just are completely shut off. But the as far as like the going out part of it, it's like, or like the intentional, like, hey, I need to approach this amount of girls a week, that part of it, it's like, yo, that's a very tough battle to win at a young age, right? And I'm not saying you can't get good. Like I said, you can obviously get good. You can obviously develop your skills and everything, of course. But why like waste all that time? And then at the end, you know, you look back and then you're like, yo, I could have been like really like pushing my limits when it comes to my business or my career instead of approaching these girls. Because you can always approach girls later on. You can always develop your game in your 30s, even in your early 40s, right? Because, man, like you said, we all know, like, we peak later on, right? Our value gets increases to greater lengths as we age. But, you know, a lot of guys are so fixated on getting girls, right? Which, you know, I'm not knocking guys, because it's like, yo, it's our biology. At the end of the day, like, we're wired to reproduce. So, you know, me sitting here and saying like avoiding girls and this and that, that's stupid. Like, your biology is telling you, hey, go out, make relationships with the opposite sex, reproduce, have sex. So of course, like, you're gonna want to, but at the end of the day, like, you have to understand that, you know, you have time as a guy to do that. You don't have to rush. Like, women have to rush because their value dips as they get older. But I think men really just aren't like interested in that, because it's like, yo, what ROI does it have on us? Does it help me retire early? Does it help me quit this job and become financially free? Does it help my mental health when I go out and get rejected by every girl I talk to? And I'm not trying to sound cope or sound like I'm making excuses or sound like, you know, you should like make excuses for not talking to girls. But at the end of the day, it's like, why am I going to do that? And you guys know, like, go ahead and go out right now, right? If you don't believe me, or if you think I'm like, you know, saying that like girls aren't, what's it called? If girls are like actually interested in men and they care and they're so wonderful and they really want to be with you, go out and approach 5 girls. I guarantee you, you're gonna struggle, right? You're gonna struggle to keep them, their attention. They're gonna look away from you. They're gonna be standoffish. May you get lucky? Sure, right? But I think in general, like, it's not a winning game. And I think a lot of guys know, like, hey, like, girls have a lot of options. Girls have like access to plenty of like guys, and it's like they look at it like, yo, I'm not gonna go out there and get shot down constantly, right? When I can build my value, and later on I can increase my odds, right? So like I said, I don't want to make it seem like I want to make this very known. I don't want to make it seem that I'm opposed to approaching girls, or I want you to be like an incel or stay inside all day. That's not what I'm proposing here. I really don't want to make it seem that, but I just really want to like make it known, like, yo, that's why guys really aren't like out there pursuing women. And like I said, I can speak from experience. Like I said, I work at a gas station. Like I know, like, yo, like you'll like talk to a girl like that comes up to you, and like I said, she'll be like just like giving you the bare minimum. Like you'll be trying to like talk or you know, start a conversation or flirt or something, and she'll just be like giving you like one word responses, right? And I think guys are sick of that. Guys are like, yo, like we're sick of like the lackluster like responses from women when we try to have conversations, and it gets tiring. Like I'm gonna be honest, as a guy, like if you're young and you're single and you're struggling, like it gets tiring talking to girls and getting shot down. And then another thing too, it's like even if you get the number, it gets tiring when she makes you wait for like a response, or she like is flaky on a date, or she like, you know, doesn't give you the same energy back. It gets tiring. So it's like, guys, look at it like, yo, because I've dealt with dozens of girls. Like I said, I'm not really like that great, but I can speak from experience, right? Like I've dealt with the BS, and I've seen it. Like it's there. And some of you guys maybe are younger than me and haven't really experienced it, but I promise you, like with your interactions, you'll see what I'm talking about. So don't be like completely closed off to having relationships with women. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea to like shut yourself off and be alone. Like obviously I think it's obviously like biological imperative for us to be together and have families and like, or have long-term relationships. So I think that's important, but don't be so, as a young guy, I wouldn't be so like worried about pursuing girls, right? And you know, taking them on dates, or you know, getting laid. Sure, can you do it? Okay, great. But at the end of the day, like I'd rather have you guys spend all that time learning skills, building your wealth, learning about investing, learning things that are going to help build your value as you age. So when you're older, when you get to be in your mid to late 20s, early 30s, you have some value built up. So when a woman does come into your life, she's not going to be so quick to be like, oh, let me just pass him over. Or hey, like for example, she might sleep with you once and then she might leave you because it's like, hey, I found a better option. I want you guys to be like one of the best options. May you lose her to a guy that's better than you? Of course, that might happen, right? But I want you guys to be in a position to where it's like, hey, like I have a good amount of value. You know, I have some skills, I have some resources, I have a good physique, to where it's like, hey, a woman might think twice about leaving you or not, you know, having a second date or a third date and a possible like long-term relationship. Because like I said, as a guy, I think a lot of guys are sick of, you know, I'm not saying all guys, but I think most guys are sick of like hooking up with a girl, right? Things are going well, like, you know, in the beginning, and then like you entertain her too much, or maybe you become needy, or you guys have sex a lot, or you hang out a lot, and then bam, she's gone, right? Because she found someone who is more mysterious, who's less available, and she's attracted to that, right? So you guys always want to maintain that, and I think if you approach it that way, you'll have better success with women. So yeah, guys, that's it. That's all. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. And as always, I will talk with you soon. Peace.